Very good evening to you, councillors and members of the public. Welcome to our full council meeting here this evening on the 20th of February 2025. I see the days are getting a little bit lighter, so a few more smiles around the town. We'll kick straight off, please, if we may, with the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence.
Apologies from Councillor Court, and Councillor Chapman will hopefully be joining us via Zoom later in the meeting.
I would wish Councillor Chapman all the work best after a slight visit to hospital. Agenda item number 2 is to receive the minutes of the council meeting held on the 16th of January 2025 and to confirm as a correct record thereof. Members, I would hope you all read those and thoroughly digested them. Do we have any questions on those items? In that case, may I have a proposal and a second? Councillor Secretary, all in favour? Any against? Those minutes are adopted. Agenda item 3, Mayor's announcements. You have in front of you the paper that I attended to. February being mostly Winterfest, it was nice to go and taste some cake, thank you very much. Tagged on to this, I'm just going to mention a couple of things that to do with VE Day. I know they're in May, but it's worth getting these couple of dates in the diary. So the official celebration of VE Day is going to be May the 8th. That hopefully is when we light the beacon, not blow myself up again. But on Sunday the 27th of April, we'll be having a tea dance in the YMCA, and there will be music supplied by guest musicians, and I won't tell you who they are yet, but it'll be a surprise. They're very famous. Thank you. Item 4, declaration of disclosable pecuniary interests. Members are reminded of the requirement to disclose any interest in relation to items on the agenda when these are discussed. Thank you. Item 5, a report by County Councillor Goggin, Essex County Councillor. Alan, we've got 2 chairs for you in the hairline zone, which is now known as the hairline zone.
Is it? Right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Hopefully you've had my notes. I'll ask you questions. I'll ask which ones. I think this is the busiest time I've had in the last few years. A couple of things. Just one small thing. Jane Chapman kept me informed about a fantastic thing that the infant school did in London, and I just hope that the council acknowledges that. I think that was just absolutely fantastic. And a quick thank you to Julie and Tracy for helping me with some potholes and some escalations during the month. Quite a lot has gone on. I'll stick to the 2 biggest if it's okay with you, but please stop me. I suppose the first thing, February the 13th, was the full council, was the budget. Just to remind you, the Essex County Council budget is £2 billion, one of the biggest in the country. The overall increase is going to be 3.75%, and that's made up of 1.75% the general increase for Essex County Council expenditure, plus 2% specifically for adult social care. I put down that a Band D house, that equates to £1.09 a week. We've got some extra government money, an extra 12 million for highways. We're the second lowest increase in the country. Councils are heading for a problem where they've got virtually no control. And if you have a look at the budgets of all the councils, county and district, etc., the big uncontrollable is adult social care and children with special needs. It's just, it's not out of control, that's not true, but it's just a huge stretch. I just remind you, every single penny that Essex County Council residents paying rates, every single penny of every every resident goes only just about covers adult social care, and that's the one that's just going ahead and ahead and ahead. And I think you'll find that this is part of the big issue with devolution. So that's the budget. I don't know what you're doing and don't know what tendering are doing, but the view at Essex is we want to keep the increases low as we possibly can, because we think the increases for rates hit the poorest, biggest. It's not the amount of money, it's the percentage. So that's that. Obviously, since we last met, the devolution has moved on a lot. I think I've heard that there's been a couple of meetings at tendering. Certainly there's been loads. We actually had a letter back from Jim McMahon MP. He's requested, there were 14 county councils applied to be on the first round, to be on the select list, and only 7 was selected. And one of those is the Isle of Wight. So that just shows you how small you can be. In terms of Essex County Council's view, the position is that we're third in the country for management of money in terms of per capita, but we are number 1 in the country in terms of management for money based upon our size. So, but nobody's sitting back, and we're just trying to do that. I think I'll stop for a minute just there, because those 2 items alone. If there's no questions, I'll just pick out a couple of other little things. But
Okay. Anybody? I'm sure there will be questions on that. Councillors, do you have any questions on those 2 items? Councillor Gunn?
There is a questionnaire going around.
Yeah.
yes, I sent it.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah, good.
When's it going to be back in, right?
It's something silly like March the 25th, something like that. It's not enough time. Not enough time for you to dither.
Right.
And it's not a simple job. I apologise, but it's a multi-choice, similar sort of multi-choice thing.
Yeah.
I really urge you, whatever your views are, whether you're for or against, or just take some time out to complete it, because otherwise it's a bit of a false exercise.
I wonder if we should put that on our website, that link for that. Is it? It's a good link.
I think David has put one on as
has
well.
he? Oh, good.
On info, I'm sure.
I have.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd love you to put it on. I think that would be great.
That's good.
You can temper it however you like, but if you don't put your voice in, you're not there.
Councillor.
Just point of information really on the submission. There has to be a draft submission in respect of the LGR and devolution proposals submitted to government by, I believe, March 21st.
Yeah.
So it's before the end of the council questionnaire, so I'm not sure why that would tie up. But tendering, the chief exec and the leader have been asked to write that draft document for the whole of Essex, basically because we're the only 2 who speak to each other civilly, it appears, in the room. The other authorities appear to be completely at odds with each other, and I think we take for granted what we've got in tendering, but I think we are quite a model in terms of a harmonious operation, where we talk to our officers, where the elected members do have a good relationship with the chief executive and the members there. So that is currently in progress. So if we're ever going to have any influence on what happens, then you would hope that we would have some from this end as they are actually writing the draft. But that's going in. Oh, it's not long, is it? It's only a month.
Yeah.
And I think the complexity and scale of the changes and the difficulty in harmonising so many different aspects of operations between 3 authorities across Essex is just, well, it's unbelievable. And I have serious reservations, I don't know about you, that it will get completed in the time timescale they've given of 2 to 3 years. So I think it could take longer than that. That's where we are. So we're in quite a good position, pole position, writing that document. So we have got the ear of the chief executive and the leader to submit any issues that we may feel is important.
It is an ambitious time frame. I think everybody knew that. Brightsea Council, Town Council are quite grateful for district councillors' input in looking after our interests as well. Because of course,
it's
we're all waiting.
across all
Fingers
councils,
crossed,
isn't it?
yeah.
Not just
And it's
county and district.
And as if to emphasise the size difference, you've got Essex County Council and 2,000 million, 14 million a year. So you've got 2,000 million and 14 million. And to be fair, the model is very similar in as much as tendering are very frugal. They've got good reserves. They have been heavily involved for a year. I think the only thing that it's worth saying is to say that the speed of the timescale, the speed, it is what it is. It's the government. They've got this majority. They're going ahead, not despite what happens, but they are rather. It's going at a pace.
yeah, it's a tough delivery. Let's see if they do it. So,
Yeah.
Councillor Pavey, I think you know.
just part of the other report. Can we talk about other things on
Yeah.
that one?
Please do.
It was, as Councillor Court's not here, and I don't really know, one of your site visits was to Ladysmith Avenue. On your,
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
I mean, I think we're waiting for them to come and do speed checks. Is there any news on when that's going to happen?
That's because
We've sent the invoice in.
I've sent the purchase order in, I'm waiting for the invoice, but I think there's been a mix-up of email addresses that I've used for myself.
Okay.
So that should be coming to me early next
Yeah.
week.
The site visit was to look at. Bear with me if I've got this right. I think the town council's preferred site was number 68.
Yeah.
And number 68's got two outside of it. It's got a telegraph pole at this end, as I'm looking at the house, and it's got a street light at the other end. The street light is, and the pole would be ideal places to put the speed and volume surveys. But we chose the second one because the first one, if we put it on the back of the pole, it would have meant anybody with a wheelchair or a pushchair or a pram to go past the lamppost and the kit will have to go in the road.
Just going back to it, then, when you pay the invoice, will it get? How quickly does it happen?
I don't want to be too clever, but I'd have thought weeks.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
There's no. It's earmarked. The job's earmarked. It's been given a job number. You've paid for it, or you will be paying for it. So there's no. I would be disappointed if it was anything less than that.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Moore.
Yes, thanks, Alan. Thanks, John. I noticed with glee regarding the 12.3 million extra on highways.
Yeah.
Good. I just wonder whether we could ask for some sort of traffic report or some sort of look at Thorrington roundabout, because people are really being affected getting out of this town now in the mornings. Sometimes the queue to get out of Brightsea. I mean, I was in one and I was at the Cullen School to get out of Brightsea. And I always think also all the people living on that road who have a nightmare getting out of their houses. And I just wonder whether traffic could be asked to do a report to see what is possible to alleviate, because there is a problem there, particularly on Thorrington roundabout. For a lot of people in Brightsea who are commuting each day, it's a nightmare every day. And well, it's long. It's making our journey longer. I think a lot of residents would like a report to have a look at it. See, I'm not saying what can be done because I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just wonder whether when you have a discussion with traffic control, they could just come and have a look to see if there's anything can be done to alleviate it. Because it is a major, I don't know if anybody else agrees with it, but it is a real problem.
Yeah.
Every day these people have to do it, and people who live down there, it's a real problem. I
Well,
appreciate
you did mention it to me,
I did.
and if you have a look under number 2, or number 1, we're talking about the current report, preliminary discussion, Filter Lane at Thornton Multi Roundabout. We've got 2 parishes involved, so technically speaking, although it does affect Brightlingsea,
Yeah.
it's actually in Torrington.
Yeah.
So I've got to get them on our side.
Of course.
What I've agreed is a preliminary meeting with engineers, and you started it. I'd like you to come along.
I'd love to come.
There is a problem with there's an immediate problem with the land there. So I did check once that Essex owns that little bobbly bit of grass
On the left, yeah.
on the left. So that may well look like a good filter lane. I think the only problem with it, and I'm not an engineer, is that if you have a filter lane there, it can only go back as far as the first house. So it might, I don't know, but
Well, that's
you're
why
quite right. It's
it needs to
a
be-
potential problem.
It is.
Let's have a look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan, we had a meeting about a month ago
Yeah.
with James Drabwell,
Yeah.
yourself, Councillor Pentney, and
Right.
Councillor Steady, about the junction at Low Park Road, Western Road. You know, how dangerous it was pulling out of there. And he said he might be able to do something with some signage, etc. He didn't think there was possibility of a zebra crossing. But we haven't. He hasn't answered any of my emails, and he hasn't answered any of Tracy's emails. I wonder if you could have a word with him
Okay.
to see if he could. Have
Did they not read about a site visit with Colchester Parking Partnership?
yeah, we've had it.
No,
we've had it,
Oh,
yeah.
right. So,
Yeah, but that was about.
yeah. Well, I thought
yeah.
that was the starting point.
No, that was nothing to do with him.
Different.
Oh, okay. Because
Councillor Barry organised that for us,
okay.
and hopefully there will be some movement on that. But he did say that he would get some, signage of slowing down and things like that he might be able to put there. But he just doesn't answer the emails.
Sorry, I'll apologise for him. It's not because I speak to him every day.
Yeah,
Which is strange.
Tracy's emailed him twice, I think, Tracy, haven't you, this last couple of weeks?
I'll take it on board.
Yeah.
I'll take
And
it on board.
I have.
Yeah. But I definitely
He just
thought
doesn't
that
answer.
part of his suggestion was that following the site visit, we were impressed with how many parents and carers and granddads and grandmas used the car park there. And I'm sure he came away with the idea that the only thing that would have to be a quick fix would be red lines, and red lines would be with the Colchester Park. That to me, so I don't want to speak for him, but I'm sure that's what he said.
Yeah. Well, we have moved on with that, but he did say something about for signage. But it's just he doesn't answer. He hasn't answered the emails, which is a bit upsetting.
Could you just send me one? I'll take responsibility for that.
And I sent him one. I did put you in on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. So that's something to look at. Before I ask the public if they'd like to discuss, is there anything else you'd like to?
I haven't asked you I've just let you know there's been an update on Belfield. I would have thought phase 1 would have been done by now. It's not done. They found a bigger problem once they dug into the road, which is always the problem that Nick Judson said would happen. But the good news is they found the money to carry on. So they're going down to where they said they were going to go down to, and then phase 2 will be the topping of the whole road, and that's done by another team. I don't know if you've been down there.
Can't get down there, there's lots of signs and barriers.
Perhaps that's a good thing. It'll keep the potholes out, won't it? But the way they're looking to, it looks very nice. I think if that was one of my, if I lived there and the it's compared to what it was before. I think they'll be pleased.
I'm sure the historians in 100 years' time will agree with you.
Not in you,
Okay.
Okay, so it's that. No, just let you know the other side of things. I've been involved this month with, for some reason, a couple of things. I'm involved with residents with places for children with special needs. Again, all of you will know my involvement with Marketfield. We've got a 73% increase over 5 years in the number of kids being given certificates. And that isn't even the full figure because we haven't got enough people to give them certificates. So that's what, and same thing with some kids at Great Bentley Junior School. They've extended the size of the school as a whole and the footprint of the whole, but they've got a huge increase in kids with SEND. So it's that never makes the highlight. Never makes it. Only talked about on Spotted or anything like that at all. But that's a key part to those individuals.
Okay. Members of the public, whilst we have County Council Goggin here, before he hot foots it to the nicer place of coffee and St Osyth, do any of you members of the public have any questions?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. Well, it's about this mayoral thing. I've read it today, and you've got the mayor. Then Thurrock's got 2 representatives. Southend's got 2 representatives, and the rest of Grey of Essex have got 3. Now Thurrock were over £1 billion in debt. You know that, Alan.
Yeah.
Don't
forget, the government put Essex County Council into management.
Yeah, I know that. But what I'm saying is, they're going to have 2 for the mayor, and they were incompetent for that period of time. That if you looked at the council, and I read about it, they were just incompetent. So this system there, and just one other thing you could find out for me, there will be a political advisor to the mayor. Can you find out how that is going to actually work over the coming period of time? It's in the paper.
And how much it will cost?
Yeah, and as Dave said, how much it will cost.
Good question.
So why does that hit the headlines?
Well, it's on your email you sent out.
Oh,
it's on the website.
It's on the website you sent out, yeah, if you read it.
It's about 20 odd pages.
Yeah. I've only skimmed it, Alan. I might have some more questions next time.
Okay. Any other members of the public have any questions for Councillor Goggin? Yes.
And one comment, you mentioned the high cost of adult social care. Essex County Council has created this own perfect storm by closing down in the past years nursing homes and care homes, let them go private, so then why they're charging a high cost. When I was run by Essex County Council, the costs were reasonable. Second question. I'm not quite sure.
I think that was a statement.
I'm not quite sure if it's in your remit. The B1027, the road from Bentley Country Park to St Osyth bypass, is covered in dust and bricks and other debris that falls off lorries, and also potholes are appearing.
Huge potholes.
Let's do the easy one first. Sorry?
The statement.
The statement I'll come back on. The easy one first is, you're quite right, round by the Deer Park, and they were re-reported this week and escalated. And I've given a note I gave a note to Julie, so that we've got a new number, so it's been escalated. That was Tuesday. I'm going there next tonight. I don't know whether that's been done. But you're quite right. It is very poor. As far as care homes are concerned, you make a good point. And if you go back far enough, then there were a whole load of things that the county council, district council, town council took care of. And at the time, it was perceived that that was a good service. In many cases, it was a good service. But the adult social care situation is just out of all control. It's just out of all control. It's got nothing to do with it's got nothing to do with the county council that it used to run. 76% of the people in care homes are paying for themselves.
No, not really, Ben. There's a lot of these people that are in the hospital waiting to come out
Yeah?
because they've got nowhere, there's no nursing homes
Yeah.
to go in for them
Yeah.
and no care homes to go in for them. Therefore, they're taking space for nobody to go in for the bottom.
You're quite right. You're quite right. That's not a problem particular to Essex, but you're quite right. The only time it's hit us this time round, I think when the care home in Church Road closed with very short notice. Within a week, everyone had been found a place. So the system.
Probably the best thing to do, Alan, is when you have your next surgery,
Yeah.
is ask Malcolm if he'd like to come. And then you
I'm
can-
tied up Tuesday afternoons.
Oh, he can have his own personal surgery and give you perhaps more detail.
I'll carpet bowl it. I'll do carpet bowl and
If you get there early enough, you get Smithy make your cup of coffee.
I will.
Thanks very much.
I thought I'd have to put up
Do
with
any
that.
other members of the public have a question? Thanks very much.
So I'm off to St Moses.
I think you can probably sit down here for another few minutes and listen to the reports from district councillors.
Yes,
If
please.
you're outside.
Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks.
Or you could stay there. You could do what.
No.
But you do realise that's the balls.
He knows
The ball bit on the back here is showing quite well.
Thanks very much indeed, Alan. Okay, our next item on the agenda is to receive reports and updates from our district councillors. Our first report is from Councillor McCann.
I've nothing really to add, but just I suppose to reiterate about the budget that we also had a cabinet on the 31st of January. We set the budget, and the it was more than a balanced budget. There was a slight surplus, which in the current climate is quite remarkable when some councils are going bankrupt. And there was a clear commitment to maintain and improve services where we could in the light of the local government reform and leave tendering in a very good place. I think the increase in the council tax amounted to 50p a week or something like that, bringing a Band D house up to about £198, £99 a year. So for £4 a week, just about, you get a lot of good services from tendering, bins empty, planning services, environmental services, etc. So I just ask people to reflect on that when they're making complaints and casting stones on social media. I think represents extremely good value for money, and the fact that we have a balanced budget has to be seen as a really positive outcome for residents when you compare it to other councils in the south of the county, as has already been mentioned. So,
Thanks very much. Does any council have any questions for Councillor Barry? Our next report is from Councillor Jane Chapman. She was going to join us on Zoom, but I'm not so sure. She can probably only just listen. She's just had a little operation in hospital.
Not joined yet.
She's not joined yet. Okay. Well, she has submitted a report which is in front of you. And I would suggest that if you do have any questions on that, you either ask the two other district councils who are here or give General tomorrow.
Can we just ask about that Caroline? Does that mean that it lasts less of a service, or is it going to be exactly the same?
well, I think from what I've read and heard, I think it's going to be as good, if not better, the service that's a lot of people are being transferred to. And I mean, we have got a paper coming before the cabinet meeting in the morning, very comprehensive, well-written paper, and we're transferring the majority of the residents, I think, to Helpline in Colchester, which is really probably what would have happened. We're ahead of the game in terms of local government reform, because down the line the three districts will combine services. We have got a budget allocation, I think, of about £400,000 to assist any residents with transfer costs and transitional arrangements. I think we've taken quite a difficult decision, but I think it's been done for the best of motives, is to get value for money and to update the service, because the service has been going 20 years. It was one of the first of its kind, and it needed updating. Other people are doing perhaps have a more digital approach and better equipment. So whilst it, of course, some concerns for members and for residents, I think the outcome, as we will see in more detail tomorrow, will maintain service for some levels of the residents.
Well, I'm very comforted to hear that, because as a beneficiary of the family of that care home, it was just superb. So I think it's a real valuable service to care.
An elderly neighbour of mine contacted me about it, and I think she's been spoken to, and there is quite a significant price increase. It's gone up to about £30 a month.
I don't think it's that. I mean, there may well be a price adjustment or an increase, but I think it would be a lot less than we would have had to increase the service charges for to maintain the level of service. I think that was the dilemma we faced, that we could continue the service, but the increase in costs to provide it was such that it was becoming uneconomic.
I think she's been told that it will eventually transfer across to Colchester, but that's with the price increase. There will be a price increase up to £30. So that's quite a big jump.
Yeah. Well, as I say, it's a reality check, I think, for everyone that the services that we do provide are subject to staff costs and national insurance charge and so on. And we were actually subsidising the service at tendering to several £100,000 a year, and it couldn't continue.
I wonder what the option is for people that aren't going to be able to afford that price increase. Is there
I think there will be some, as I say, transitional support. I did take some figures down, but I can't quote on an individual case, but I think the majority are going across at the same or slightly increased costs, but with a maintained level of service. And, so I think I was probably one of the more concerned councillors, I suppose, on the cabinet about this, and I think that I've been reassured from the very comprehensive report that's been prepared, and that will be in the public. I mean, it's in the public domain now, but if people want to read that tomorrow, they will get a very detailed view on what's happening with that.
It's good that it was saved.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, our next report then is from District Councillor Graham Steady.
Just to add to that, I think they're going to check the staff as well. Transfer over to Colchester. So trying to do the best. Okay, my report, obviously, a lot of what is affected by LGR and devolution. So I'll pick out some of the interesting ones there. It's like, if you look at the last and finished assets report, number 5 there, we just want to get some historical information on was there any payment of money during the last reorganisation 50 years ago from, say, Berkshire Urban District Council to Kent District Council. So that would be interesting to see what sort of
fingers crossed.
What we do find from that. And also about obviously community asset transfers and other things we're looking at. Priority wise, we've got the audit committee where the audit are all up to date now. If you remember, I did report some time ago. I think we were like 4 years behind. But that wasn't just tendering, it was national. There was a national shortage of auditors. But that now, once the last one is signed and put in, then we will be completely up to date on that. We did have a members' briefing last night. Okay, and it was an update on local government reform and devolution. And the three things I brought up was, one, you've got a lot of information. There's loads of charts, and I defy anybody to say, when you get to the end of it, if anybody can remember what the first one was. So what I suggest there is that in some way we have like an information folder where we can have bullet points, and then it's updated on a regular basis. So it means that anybody, members, councillors, members of the public, you just log on to it, and then they could get a real sort of bullet point, bullet point presentation to make it a bit easier for people to understand. And he says, well, the chief executive just saying we look at it, but obviously to see if that can be encompassed within our organisation. The other one I brought up was, again, this is something I brought up 2 years ago when OGR and Evolution was first approached. And I did say then that, again, it's a way of understanding. I could never figure out what the difference between OGR and Evolution was. I said, to me, it's just the same. And then, of course, I said, what it's doing, the two are converging now to make like a hybrid. And I did get the chief executive to agree with me. He said, yeah, you are right, although it was slightly different those days. It was early part. And the third one, I said, from a town council point of view, the town council need an idea on what financial support we're going to get. Because obviously we've got to do our budgets and our plan, and it's very easy to push town councils to the back of it. So again, he is going to come down and talk to us. We're going to have a meeting to be arranged apparently. So maybe that's one of the subjects we could approach on that agenda. That's it.
Have we set a date?
No, we're waiting to hear. We put the date in his court, so
He said he's waiting for us.
No, I contacted him today. He said he should be contacting me shortly.
thanks, Graham. Councillors, members of the public, it's nice to see our District Councillor Jane Chapman appear on the screen. Hopefully she can hear us. We don't want you to say it. It's nice that you've survived the hospital food. Oh, well done. Jane, we've skipped through your report. There was only just, I don't know if you, is there anything you want to bring up on it? No, okay. Right, okay. There was a little bit of a discussion about the care line, but I think Kate may be phoning you tomorrow asking some other stuff. Oh, sorry.
I would like to. You had your hand up first.
Sorry.
That's right. I think we're going to ask the same thing about the 100 to 300 homes that would be expected to.
What?
Is that what you were going to ask?
Sort of, yes.
Yeah,
Jane, I wonder if you can ask for us at some meeting, when we do eventually end up in a unitary, will our local plan still be recognised, or will it start a new local plan? We've got to find, I can't remember the exact number, but 4,000 or 5,000 in tendering. Will that number be reviewed when it's a unitary, or are we still going to stick with that? Because the plans go well beyond the unitary level, and I'm just frightened that, frightened. I'm wondering if it's all going to be thrown up and started again.
We're ready anyway.
Okay, thank you.
I think Councillor said he might have something to come back on that.
Yeah, once again, this was touched on last night, and they did highlight neighbourhood plans are very important to get through and to get finished.
Right, okay.
So obviously our neighbourhood plans are making good progress, but I think we do need to encourage them to push on with that, because it was, I could say, that will form a major part of it.
Right.
Okay.
I just wondered if there was any update in relation to the provision of the Citizens Advice Bureau now tendering and decided not to fund it. Is it still?
That might be a question from Councillor Gallagher.
Yeah, it's not. They haven't decided not to fund it. They've just extended the funding for 6 months. I think to October, to allow them to take part in a on a level playing field and tender for the funding they tend to provide to provide the service that they have been doing for many years. I think the reality is that there are more organisations in the district providing specialist advice services. So you have drug advisory services, housing advisory services, and I know citizens advice cover the whole range of advice areas, but their face-to-face surgeries, I think, are becoming less and less attended. That's the figures that we've been given, and a lot of their advice is given either online or over the phone, or through a digital medium. So the world has changed, and we've been giving them 144,000, I think, for the last 10 years, or the equivalent of that. And it's just a requirement that we do review those payments, and as I say, go to the market. I mean, it sounds very commercial, but I think that's again the reality of local government finances, are that you have to achieve value for money. And so that, for instance, there's a organisation called the Peabody Trust, who are specialist housing advisors, and obviously you have NEDAS, who are specialist drug advisors. So if it's an assessment of the needs of the population, and then we'll match the funding to the providers who meet those needs. So it's not just one size fits all anymore. And if Citizens Advice do tender and get the tender, then they will continue to provide that service. But I think it is up for grabs, and I think they are a national organisation. It's almost like a franchise. They're very, very experienced and very powerful in terms of fundraising, and I think their publicity campaign around this obviously was to their benefit, but I don't think it sort of reflected the whole position, and it was, we as a council were portrayed as again the bad guys cutting someone's funding, when in fact we weren't cutting the funding. We were saying your funding is under review, as is any funding to anybody, and you have to put your case the same as anyone else. So in the changing market, that's the way it is. The same with Careline. There are difficult decisions, but they probably should have been addressed years ago. They haven't been, and we've had to do that. So it's October. They will have an extension in October, so, and they will then be in a position to put in a tender, an application.
Thanks very much. Councillor Howard, was your question answered?
Yes, thank you.
Does any other councillor have any questions about district councillors? In that case, that agenda item then is debate. Thank you. Agenda item 7 are the team's reports. For those members of the public that are not aware of these are non-statutory or informal committees that meet to discuss various things. And our first team's report is from the chair of our Facilities and Community Assets team. You all have the minutes of that team's report and the recommendations within. May I ask any councillor if they have any questions?
Can I just make a slight comment on the item 5 Western Corner? I think the recommendation should read that we were looking to, regarding the purchase and transport of the stone, I think we said inert stone should have we are looking to make sure it's inert.
Yeah.
Because it's near the playground, which I think finance picked up on.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Other than that, there's 5 recommendations.
Okay. Councillor Morgan, would you like to propose those?
I'd like to propose it.
May I have a second? Councillor Pavey. Councillors, are you all in agreement with those proposals and recommendations? Any to the contrary? Okay, those recommendations and that report's accepted. Our next team's report is from the Environmental Transport team, which is chaired by Councillor Howard. Is there anything in there, Jim, that you'd like to?
The only thing thinking is the update on the speeding strips. I think we went into that earlier, didn't we? And we did meet with the parking partnership about 3 junctions, and Councillor Barry and myself. And the first thing we've got to do is send out a survey to residents, so that's all being done at the moment. Also, I don't know if Councillor Steady wants to give an update on the Eco Fair, because that went off really well, didn't it? I think Judith, did you get the email from Judith?
Yes.
Who run it?
Yeah.
She said there was approximately 165 people that went to the fair, which was quite pleasing. But I hope to do something else.
Yeah. So with the group who was there on Saturday, we did a whole WhatsApp group where we could share information. So the idea is if there's any spin-offs, one group might be really good at getting grants, for instance, so they could share their experience with all the others. And obviously we're going to make it a regular presentation every year. So I don't know whether we could send a letter to you just to say thank you very much for doing it, and we look forward to the next one. You've got a picture of the display stand, and we were in A1 position because we were under the cross and the video, which was on a loop, which was very successful after the mayor showed how to get onto the loop. So thank you very much for that. But it did make me think. Some good sort of comments about that. What other platforms is that on? In as much as do we put maybe that into Harwich Port, railway stations?
Sure. So we're on a platform called Visit Essex, which is part of a parcel which I believe is funded by Essex County Council, whereby they're a portal there, so we included that. Yeah. We're also through social media and other websites. Our own website is called Visit Brightsea. Yep. So it's on that. It's on the YouTube thing, so you can see how many hits it has on YouTube. There's no reason whatsoever why we couldn't, when I say we, the Tourist Advisory Panel couldn't make representation to Harwich Port and things like that, to see if we could stream it from those. We're slowly growing into the tourism side of things, and we have one new councillor onto the tourism committee, which hopefully will bring a breath of fresh air into it, to be able to put these on. And that's the council.
Sorry, just one thing. Why don't we put it forward to places like cities instead? Because they're the ones that want to come away. They're the ones that are going to want to come down here and see like the coast. So why don't we start doing, like the cities and towns near close by? Instead?
Why not? Indeed. So our next Tourist Advisory Panel is Friday, I think, Friday week, and let's talk about it. The video, of course, will be updated as well. So we've got some funding to update it as well, to bring in last year's stuff to make it a little bit more topical.
Also, we had the TDC leader, Mark Stevenson, and also the environmental portfolio holder, Adrian Smith, going there, who spent some time with us, and also networking around the stalls as well.
Any feedback?
Yeah, again, I know that Adrian Smith is very interested he's very involved in his area, and he spent some time on the Little Pickers stand, So we want to do a bit more joint work there as well.
Okay, so we'll do a letter to Reverend Judith and thank her for her very hard work that she did on that. We can introduce the tendering leader to Councillor Atkinson's prodding stick, which we learnt all about on the last Finance Committee. Let's do it again.
And she did say that it was the support of Brightsea Town Council that spurred her on to do it.
True.
So she was really
I mean, I was down there for, I guess, an hour and a half. I thought I was only going to be down there 10 minutes. It was very
quite interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, can I just a quick update for this week on the
Everyone's happy.
Plant a few trees. It's Essex County Council initiative, and they committed to planting £1 million worth of trees over a 5-year period. I think 375,000 across Essex, which, in my view, can only be a good thing. Obviously, it's a planting season; they're doing it now. They provide financial support, planning advice, they contractor procurement, and advice on species selection. So these are not just a bunch of workmen who turn up with a lot of trees and stick them in the ground. These areas have been surveyed. I think they put 59 trees at the junior primary school grounds, and I think there were 10 put on Hurst Green.
And some in the community centre.
And some in the community centre, some down the front as well. So, I think we should be welcoming this. I know there were queries this morning, and I hope we answered them.
Oh no, I think the feedback.
People see the
general feedback was
positives
positive.
in that. So I think we welcome that. They're provided free to the town. They come with a 3-year maintenance agreement, so that contractors will come out and make sure they're watered and looked after. So I'd just like to record that.
Thank you, Essex County Council. I'm sure Wivenhoe will be very busy tomorrow with all this.
I think the main thing was that people thought it was all going ahead without any consultation.
Right,
but obviously there had been consultation, but it hadn't got.
Maybe it should have been better communicated.
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody else have any questions to the chair for the
I'd like to bring up a few things anyway. Councillor Morgan and myself went to Coles School and met with Tony. This was actually we
Metzel?
yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
the parking, sorry.
Yeah. And we had a really good meeting. It was very positive. I mean, we had gone up there because of the problem on Stranger's Corner with the playing fields. When people park on the roads and they park along the grass verges, residents are quite upset with it. And that's why we went up there, and it was quite
very positive.
To find out what.
I think Councillor Nick Barry is going to join us next time as well.
Hopefully, because out of it came a lot of other positive things about open space, etc. But the thing is that the whole problem was we thought that they shut the school car park early, so that's why people didn't park in there. But they don't shut that car park until after they've shut the playing fields. So Tony said anyway. So that shouldn't occur. But the whole thing is that people won't walk up there and park in the school car park. So they end up parking on the road and, causing chaos really. So I'm not sure if our county council can help us with this.
That's good. So you'll be aware that we will have a written question from Deborah Parker, which you can expand on.
We can expand on it a bit there, But, it was a really positive meeting, and I think we're going to try and meet again soon about the whole thing. Also, we did put on the agenda. I put on the agenda about asking Sainsbury's if they would be prepared to put a couple of electric hookups on there, because we haven't got any in town. After an experience with an electric car last week, not being able to fill it up anywhere. So, with the council's permission, is that okay if we approach Sainsbury's?
I think you'll be encouraged to do that.
Yeah.
I know that Councillor Bailey's been on, and you've been on the mission. I think the mission's been on for quite a long while, hasn't it? I know it's been on for about 10 years. But I thought with Sainsbury's being a new kids in town, they might oblige. Okay. So that was the other thing. I think other than that. Okay. Are you happy to propose these?
Yeah, I propose these minutes if anybody.
Okay, councillors, the proposed and seconded for the minutes and recommendations therein. All in favour? Any against? Okay, so those minutes are adopted. And again, thank you for the updates on the Eco Fair. It's well worth it.
Mr. Mayor, is it okay if I leave for St Andrews?
Yes, enjoy your biscuit.
Thanks.
And coffee. Thank you, Alan. Our next agenda item on the number 7 is our welfare and residence services from Councillor Chapman. You have the report in front of you. Jane, is there anything you'd like to weed out on that? No? Okay. It's encouraging that Trinity College are listening to us about another piece of ground, hopefully. Burial. No, I'm sure it'll be one-way traffic for a couple of months.
Don't say they're going to bury it.
Yeah, no. Okay. Does any councillor have any?
We do need to try and get some answers soon, because if we've got to buy a piece of land, we need to get the money in place.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, does any councillor have any questions, Councillor Chapman? Okay. So we will move on. Any proposals? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jane. A little update from Communications and Tourism, which I'm happy to give. Our next meeting is on Friday the 28th. Thank you very much. Friday the 28th of February.
What time?
10:30. Where we will report that we have booked the stand for the Tendring Show for this year. It's a smaller stand. We were a bit over ambitious last year. We were a big stand and it was like a wasteland. And the wind came through and it was horrible. But there are more modernistic plans this year for our stand. We've got a bit of youth on the committee now. And we'll go forward. That committee working closely with Julie for the guide, and that's about to come out. And we're really going. It's good. Everything's good about that. So on the next full council, there'll be a full report as to what they've been chatting about. Thank you. Okay. So we'll now come into the more formal committees now. Agenda item 8 is our finance, to receive and approve the minutes of the finance meeting held on the 18th of February 2025 and to confirm the recommendations therein.
Okay, we met Tuesday this week, and the principal item was the budget. So after a lot of toing and froing, and with only minor arguments, we've now agreed the budget for next year. It's a pretty tight budget, so we then went on to remind ourselves of all the necessary control procedures that we maintain. And we also recognised the need for best value. We divided a method where we can basically we double our efforts in that respect. So that was really the key things for the meeting. If there's any questions about the minutes?
Alrighty, that's good.
If not, I would like to propose them as a true record.
Thank you. Second. All councillors in favour? Any against? Those minutes and recommendations are approved. The next on that item, agenda item 8, is to confirm the recommendations of those members examining the accounts for the current period. That is in the hands of Councillor Howard.
Councillor Pagan and I examined the accounts for January 2025 under the delegated authority of the Finance Committee and confirmed that 22 payments in the sum of £63,974.92p. 3 of these payments were paid in January, totalling £642,020p, have been authorised and paid, and the statements of balances on the following accounts be accepted. Current account 7055, £29,787.68. Business premium account number 9433, £8,754. Business premium account number 8295, £35,474.89. CCLA Public Sector Deposit Fund, £1,005.21p. Instant Access Account number 0373, £85,795.52p. Current T2 account number 0360, £22,924.46. Making a total on all accounts of £182,741.76. Income for January 2025 is £51,731.88. Expenditure for January 2025, £27,142.50. Income to date, 1st of April to 31st of January 2025, was £412,939. No, start again. £412,939.90p. Expenditure to date from the 1st of April to 31st of January, £316,156.62p. Employee payments for the month of January 2025 were £17,572.72p. Do you want me to do this bit at the bottom as well? Please note, Tendring District Council have paid the 106 contribution of £44,377 for the works carried out on Paulson's Playground on the 13th of February 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Those are the payments. Are all councillors in agreement to that? Yes, I do apologise. You're proposing it. I need a second. Councillor Howard. Are all councillors in agreement to that? Any against? They're adopted. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Howard. It's a long read, that. Okay, our next agenda item is agenda item 9, planning, to note the minutes of planning meeting held on the 28th of January and 11th of February, and the planning and decisions of tendering. Councillor Howard.
I don't have anything to add other than the minutes of the meeting. I think it's just worth reiterating under this section though the report that Councillor Chapman had of the new local plan and the consultation, and the results of that look, from my perspective of reading it, that this town will be looking for at least 300 houses. The original numbers were 50 to 300, and the way I read it, it's going to be closer to 300 than it is going to be to 50. There's quite a lot of pressure being put on the district for this building, and I suspect we'll have to recognise that we'll have to take some of that pressure.
Okay, those are noted. We don't need to vote on that. Oh, may I have a second? Right, thank you. I keep forgetting I was second. All agreed? Any against? Lovely. Thank you very much, Councillor Bailey. The next item is item 10, Youth Council. This is to receive an update from Councillor Howard on our IEC Youth Council.
Yeah, I don't know if you all got the notes of that. Unfortunately, we're going to lose Jordan Knight. Not for him, he's been promoted. Yeah. And he was promoted on quite a bit of the work he'd done at Brighton Sea, so that's quite good. But we are hoping that we get a replacement. So, and the rest of it is all, what we discussed. All quite interesting. There's some questions there for councillors about. One thing as well was about some part-time jobs for young people, and we were saying about lifeguarding, and one of the pupils said that it costs £500 for the training. I was going to ask Councillor Atkins if that was right. Do they have to pay that themselves?
We help best we can. It's not so much as £500.
It's not?
No. So we've got schemes to encourage them to come along. We've got to pass a few tests and things. Make sure they can swim.
Yeah. donation to give back to Thanks, Dave.
No, I mean, the thing is that we, just to add to that, we will obviously subsidise that training and on the assumption that they will work for the library.
Well, they all sort of outed it straight away. They said, "Oh no, we can't do that because we can't afford £500 for the training," and that was it. So.
They get it. They can get it up front. We pay for it if around about Easter.
I thought there must be something, otherwise nobody would do it, would they?
No, it's 10. I mean, we have trained it at 10 some years. We top them up every year, so it's a really good. I mean, it's a 3-year qualification. That once you've got it, and you can go and work anywhere that requires a Royal Life Saving Society qualification. It's take it around the world. So it's a really good thing.
Just before Kerry comes in, the other thing was we've done a letter, and Jordan has got a copy of it. He hasn't sent it to me. I'll put it out for approval of the city councils. As a youth council, they're going to write to other retailers in Brightonsea to ask if they could meet some of them, to see if they can get any student discounts on buying food or drinks or things like that. Because one of their complaints was that they get a bit of pocket money to spend on the way home, say mum's at work or whatever, to get something to eat, and they can't afford anything. So we sort of wondered if we could get a student, like they do at colleges and things.
I'm sure council can try and encourage that.
Yeah.
I think what also, Tracy, if we'll write a letter of thanks to Jordan. He's done some really good work.
That would be nice.
One of those was his original thoughts about getting the retailers to give a sort of discount card, and I think Fireways almost came on board with that before they skedaddled.
It's actually my idea.
We have a question from Councillor Chaplin.
I'm just wondering, when you're trying to talk to the students about getting part-time jobs, to recommend that they do a CV and take it into the shop or wherever. I've had 4 emails in the last 10 days asking, and it's a one sentence, do you have any work?
Well, there we are. So
we could mention that.
And Councillor Morgan, I think you've got
I was just going to say it's a very important point. For these youth who are obviously looking to find work or whether they're studying abroad, I wasn't aware there was a major issue right to see that they can find work. I thought there is work, and it is often, as Jane has just said, the way they present themselves. And one of the things that used to be done in Clacton, I remember my father used to do, there was some training of the youth where they could come and get interview technique and how
I think they do that.
They do that.
Yeah.
Well,
I think actually Matt was involved in that, wasn't he? I think Matt was involved in that last year.
Yeah. But I mean, it's absolutely vital.
So I think when we Council Cleverly first, and then Council, I think so when we have this sort of youth council, there's going to be an opportunity for a few councillors to meet.
I was going to say that we're going to hold one of our meetings here, and they're going to invite you as mayor and new councillors. But it's their meeting.
It's not our meeting, but we could perhaps act as members of the public. And sort of love the option. And we could probably Councillor.
I read that, very, very good, by the way, very interesting. And there was one part in it which I didn't worry about it that much, but I think it was off on the wrong thread, was I think they were asking our permission if they could write to the retailers. And I don't think it's for us to give them permission. I mean, I support it, but I think we can support it. But I think we mustn't start getting into this situation where they have to ask us for permission.
Okay. Well, we'll just go ahead with it then.
There's only a little one. How old do they have to be to do the lifeguarding course?
16.
16.
And they must swim.
And they must be able to swim.
Because the poor old paper round seems to have gone for a burden. Because been taken over by a big company and they contract people out to do it. And I did phone them up and said, how, you know, what's the criteria? And they said, we've got to be over 18, you've got to have a car. So I thought, well, that's, you know,
Paperboy.
that's not good for a paperboy. But the people said that they have seen youngsters going round with papers, so it's obviously contracted out again. So we need to find out now.
So it's a massively good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well done. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Jane. It's hard seeing you over there.
My paper gets delivered at 5 o'clock in the morning.
So it should. There's nothing wrong with 5 o'clock in the morning when you're asleep.
We missed a good old shop, Jane.
Okay, thanks very much, Jim. We'll swiftly go on now to agenda item 11. This follows on from the last council, and this is to receive and adopt the updated cultural vexatious complaints policy. Councillors would have received an email sent on the 17th of January with some further notes to this. And basically, what all I need to add to that really is to further to the last council meeting we have explored the complaints, and this new document introduces more process and transparency. And again, I would reiterate that it takes the onus from two people, the town clerk and the mayor, to full council, rather than posit it to two people. So I have no problems by proposing that this is adopted.
Can I just second? I'll support that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I had a few queries after the last meeting, and I did speak to Matt about them and reassured. So.
And I'm guessing everybody's read the new update. Yeah. Are we happy, Councillor? Okay. So in that case, then I'll propose. You're happy to second it, Councillor? Oh, Nick seconded it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have a vote then. The vote is to adopt this vexatious policy into our policy documentation for the council. That's, all in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That policy is adopted. Thank you. Okay. The next agenda item is fairly quick, I think, and that is to do with Rights and Volunteer Festival. You know, we really, on this item, we're really just asking if any councillor wishes to take this on for next year, or if council would like just to run it sort of along the periphery and a much simplified format as opposed to what was put forward, and then go to a bigger event next year when we have more time to perhaps think about doing it. You don't need to give an answer now. I think it's sort of monitor our embrace and see how much we want to be involved in it.
What has been agreed so far?
Very little. The agreement so far is that there will be a presence on the Volunteers Week. The short agreement, informal agreement, was that will culminate with a dinner, dance and a presentation thing on a Saturday evening that would nominate volunteers, specific volunteers that have really shone out into the town, and give them some sort of award. I think it's that dinner that's the onerous thing.
I think as well we did come up with a list of approach and organisations. I'm certainly approach organisations if they be prepared.
Be prepared to, yes.
So we guess we're going to put that open to them. I think down by Matt's last email was go along with the National Volunteers Week, and we would support that in whatever way.
I think that's a wise thing, and so we can support it and then grow into it slowly, and perhaps go into a big.
When is the Volunteers Week?
I think it's June.
I think it's June about the 3rd.
I think the initial feedback that we were all tasked to approach the volunteers was pretty good, and it may be that we want to do something a bit. It's a lot of work.
What was it?
So may I leave that with you to ponder? Thank you very much. Nothing one comment. Esteemed member of the public, it's nice to see some new faces here, and so many of you. Thank you very much for turning on. Before I ask if we have any questions from the public, I do have a written question from a resident, and I think you'll be able to deal with this, Jim, after I've read it out. This is a complaint from residents at the location of the footpath at Strangers Corner. Complaints from residents at this location has been a concern for some years now. On weekends and some weekdays, vehicles descend in large numbers at the entrance to the Cone School playing field to attend football matches. They choose to park as close to the entrance as possible and use the grass verges after obstructing the public footpath to pedestrians as well as degrading the area. This also makes it difficult for residents to see clearly when entering and leaving their properties, and is an offence under the Highways Act as well as local bylaws. Attempts have been made to deter inconsiderate parking. Brightshire Town Council has installed no parking on grass verges. Another year, a tree planting exercise at the location was tried as a possible deterrent. There has been dialogue with the Cone School voicing the concern where large print signage was installed, advising visitors to use the school car park. Also, supposed supervision by a member of the school staff was allegedly tried on the days. Nothing has worked, unfortunately, and it is felt that the time has come to finally get to grips with the problem. It has to be said that it doesn't give a good first impression of holidaymakers and others visiting our great town. There have been a great number of photographic evidence provided already. A few recent examples are attached, which we have here, showing the parking. The Environment Committee have discussed this at length, and would you like to expand on your
Well, there's no easy answer to it. There's no easy answer to it, but Rick and I did go to the school. That's the reason we went to the school, was because to discuss whether there could be possibly a car park put on the actual field itself, because they have the room up there. And they were quite open to it, and so we're going to look into it.
Yeah.
See, obviously we need some finance. So, but the Football Association might be interested, because it's nearly all football clubs that use that up there. Might be interested in giving us to make it more, viable up there. But what can you do? There's an enormous sign there saying, "Can you park in the school car park?" But nobody will. They'll park on the road because they want to be nearer the entrance. But so I don't know which way to go with it, really.
Okay, so Councillor Popley first, then Kate, then
just a point, because you know you do the Strangers Corner.
Yeah.
I think it's not just the schools, it's some of the people that schools rent things to.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I had to actually move somebody up to the front of my house so I could get the car out, and they were playing rugby from a rugby club and wouldn't even known about the school. It was I can't remember.
Well, the thing is that they do hire out to anybody.
So
really.
I think they're not getting the message out to the people they're hiring.
That's right. I mean, it has to be a proper club. It can't just be any old person.
Yeah.
It's got to be a proper club.
There's no
They hire
instruction.
out to
When I stopped this guy, I had a long conversation with him. He had no instructions from his club, the visiting club, where to park and not to park there.
We can take that on.
Yeah,
I think they can take that on board. Okay.
I think wouldn't part of the solution be that when they're hiring it out to whomever, part of that hire agreement is that they provide somebody to facilitate parking. So they have a body stand there and say, no, you can't park here, you've got to park down the street.
Yeah.
And that's part of their hiring agreement, whether it be to a local club or an outside club, whoever.
I was just going to say that again, we can take that forward, and I think it's going to be the truest with Mick as well, because there's a lot to be had here. There's a lot on the agenda, and I think a lot to be gained. And they seem to be receptive. Just remember though that the booking of this that sports facility is done through a national website, and so I think it's compliant with all sites across the country. And it's almost a universal charge for all sorts of schools. So I think we've got to understand that. And so people say, well, it's a bit expensive, but it's what everyone's charging. It's a standard rate. But I think there's a lot now to talk, and I think we're going to get right back to the school and request another meeting. And I think we'll go with a good agenda and see if we can get something, because they seem to be
point that Chris has made. We
Yes.
if we, you know, the people that are booking,
Yes.
if there could be something
Considering
placed
for,
on there. Yeah.
When they do, is it the Christmas Tree Festival, they put
Yeah.
up the temporary signs to say where the parking is.
Yeah.
To make it really, really clear. Why
Yeah.
can't you just do that? Something that can be taken up, put down.
Well, that's because it's once a year, so there's
No, something that can be taken up and put down.
Yeah,
So if there's
yeah.
the holes for like the posts put
I
there,
think Terry
then the
has,
person can come out that's
Yeah.
opening the
I think Terry has
opening the grounds and put them out.
I think they've tried cones.
Yeah, but
I
it's not
think-
giving it's not
No.
clear. Whereas if it's got a massive arrow saying parking,
And also, I think they're sort of unofficial cones as well. They weren't, you know, it wasn't something that was.
Okay, so it looks
People
like
just moved them.
it looks like the E&T have got a grasp of this and
Yeah.
they're moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm unsure if the member of the public that is here tonight is the question. Otherwise, we'll reply to her in writing. I'm assuming so. I was him.
The
Sorry.
thing is, the person that is asking about it wants us to recommend that they stop having outside clubs there.
But I think
and I don't think, in all honesty, we can ask them to do
no,
that.
no, not really. I mean,
Because it's a financial source.
Yeah,
we don't have enough spaces anyway to use.
and we
Why
certainly
can't
wouldn't
we
want
do
red lines.
But,
Okay, so we'll
I can understand how he feels, but you know.
so we'll write back with that answer and go from there. Thanks very much. Esteemed members of the public, does any member of the public have a question they'd like to ask?
No.
Yes, sir. Your name, sir?
Jerry Weatherly. I live on Hurst Green. And can you tell me, please, who actually gave permission for the planting of trees on the green? It was a bit of a surprise this morning, because that's the first we'd heard about it. I'm a little bit of a Luddite as far as web searches and platforms are concerned. But it was interesting. We've seen photographs going back to early 1900s, and essentially, from some of the trees on the green that are being planted, they're going to change the character of the green. Now, you know, I understand it's a conservation area. We've seen some strange things done on the green in the name of conservation, like the demolition of a property and building a new one up. But passing on for that, it just indicates that I'm not quite sure what a conservation area is. So I don't know quite what is permitted to be done and what isn't permitted to be done.
Well, you've asked a question that I certainly don't have the answer to.
It goes to show a fool can ask a question, a wise man can't answer.
And it's unfortunately Councillor Goggin has left. But it looks like Councillor Barry might have some daylight on this. Because
the whole world's a conservation area, and we're trying to do some of that by planting a few trees. And I think this, I don't know if you heard me say earlier that this was part of the Essex Forest Initiative, which was a 5-year plan from the Essex County Council in conjunction with the Essex Climate Action Commission to plant 375,000 trees across the whole of Essex. Pay for them, have the maintained, and as I say, there was a survey around the town a year ago looking at sites, and the trees are, as I understand it, chosen by specialist contractors for the particular environment in which they are planted. So there would be, the ones down the plants them down the front on the promenade where there, the Millennium Gardens, and they've been planted to be resistant to seawater and that environment down there. So it was permission given. It's Brighton Sea Town Council land, and they did have permission, as they've had permission to plant them at the school and in other areas of the town. So I think that's about it. And I'm not sure about changing the character. Some trees
will change the character of the green.
Well, I think it would be for the better.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion. So you're entitled to yours, and I'm entitled to mine. So
You're on the council.
Mr. Mayor, can I come in there?
Can I just tell you, following up on that the tree planted in front of our house is called Atilia tomentosa.
Okay.
which is a silver lime, and it grows. It doesn't look very big at the moment, but it's the ultimate height. It takes a long time to mature, but it goes up more than 12 metres, and it's got an ultimate spread of 8 metres. It's a deciduous tree. If you lived, were fortunate enough to live as we do on the bend, the joining between Hurst Green and Chapel Road, and seen the traffic that comes down from the new developments, and the speed it comes down at, you get a load of wet leaves on that road in autumn, that's going to give you all kinds of problems. So I think it's, I've been told that an expert is a drip under pressure. Some of the experts that have actually been consulted and are planting the trees there. I spoke to one of the guys planting this morning, and he said, well, we've had to use our common sense because one of them, the measurements we were given, was going to be in front of one of the memorial benches. Maybe some consultation would have been nice, and maybe having a fresh look at some of the planting that's been done there going forward as a suggestion might be a good idea. Because I know you said everybody loved it, but I can give you 4 or 5 people, and it only started this morning.
I didn't say everybody.
Thanks, Mr. Weatherby. It's a pertinent question. I think the thing for us to do at the Town Council now is just to delve and dig a wee bit deeper.
Mr. Mayor, can I make an observation, please?
Yes, you can, David.
It quite clearly says the majority of the trees will be native species, including oak, ash, hazel, hornbeam, field maple, holly, crabapple, poplar, willow and alder. And what's his tree?
I think he said a lime.
Yeah, and what is the tree outside my house?
I don't know.
It comes from Florence, Italy.
Oh, I see.
Now that's a local tree. And as he said, 15 metres high, 5 metres. And the other thing, I don't know if you are aware, my insurance policy on my house states that a tree cannot be within 50 foot of my house, or I cannot make a claim for any subsidence or anything. Okay. Those trees are within 50 foot of the houses.
And those are new trees, are they?
The new trees.
Right. So I think the thing to do really is that we will we'll have a little excuse the pun dig. We'll have a dig and try and find some information. I have to say I don't know.
Surely they've only just been planted.
Well, I think the first thing to do is we will talk to the Essex Institute. We'll talk to the people where the initiative come from, and we'll try and get some.
There are events that happen on the green, as I'm sure Councillor Barry is aware. Things like music festivals and things like that. He does a lot of hard work for that. Thank you. But they will be impacted to some degree by the planting.
Yeah. So let's take all of that in mind. We'll I think Councillor Howe would just like to say something.
The only thing I wanted to say was it does appear that the residents weren't.
It does seem that way. It seems that there's been no consultation.
We should make that clear that that's.
So we'll do a little bit. We'll try and move a few leaves, do a dig in, and try and find some. And then come back, and then you come back here because it's nice to see you. And we have Mr. Weatherby. Thank you very much, Mr. Weatherby. Other members of council?
Well,
Mr. Stone? Sorry, public?
Yes.
I'm trying to adopt you.
I've been told I mustn't ask a question tonight. But
why?
Because I upset Councillor Cole. But as he's not here, I'll ask the question.
Quick one, he's not here.
Could we have an update on the parking situation outside the bakers? I believe that's James.
No, that's Councillor Eugene.
Yes, I can give you an update. We did ask because we did wonder if that should have been part of the parking area, as you were there, weren't you? and they've just forgotten to put a post in. So we did ask the guy from Parking Partnerships, and he said no, it's never been an area, an authorised area. And it appears that it would come as quite a cost to get it all sorted out again. So we don't know.
Still trying to.
We've still got to try and find it. I was going to ring him, and I haven't done it yet, but I can let you know and give you an update next time.
Thank you.
Richard?
Yeah,
You don't need to stand up.
well, I will do, otherwise I might fall down. These charging points, the government want charging points for electric cars, lithium battery, fires, etc. But the fire chiefs, who are the top fire people in the country, are concerned not only about the fires, and Councillor Chapman's son knows all about this, but about the actual parking, where they're actually putting a car park, and about the danger signs. And I can give you an example. I go to Wilson Marriage to do Tai Chi there once a week. They have 5 new electric charging points there, which are space-like disabled. But there is no danger sign, but they've put them less than 20 metres from the nursery. So should one of them catch fire, I know it's very rare, then they'd be burnt to death, those kids. And the fire chiefs have written to the government. You can look that up, that's all there. So if they're concerned, so my question really is to Tendering Council, what is the risk assessment and the planning for it? And I know you want them up at the co-op, well that's fine, but if the top safety people are worried about this, and I think we should all be worried about it. And the other question for the town council is, there's solar panels going on the cafe, where are they actually made? That's the 2 questions. Thank you.
Well, I think that you've got 2 councillors that can give you information on that. Councillor Paley is our expert planning, but might be able to tell you about how it works with that or not. What are the planning implications for when a retail organisation wants to put these things in? Do they have to apply for planning? Probably not.
Yeah, they do.
I think they put in.
And it just goes through the normal process.
So what is the risk assessment to say out here if you put one in it? Because we probably want to put one in there soon.
I'm guessing that would come under the normal risk assessment.
Part of the planning application, there would have to be a risk assessment. And
yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
I mean, that in terms of the Tendering Council, the strategy is to work in partnership with commercial organisations to install high rated charging points, because people seem to want 50 kilowatts plus 150, 200 kilowatts, because the smaller ones take so long to charge and they're not economical. So the commercial operators are looking to put in high kilowatt chargers, and they are part of the car parking strategy. Any car park that's getting rebuilt or refurbished, they are looking where there's potential to put in electric vehicle chargers, but the infrastructure requirements are increasing. So the reality is that it's really only sort of new build like Morrison's in Clacton or new supermarket builds that can actually install them. Because you couldn't fit one here. I mean, we could fit a 7 kilowatt one here, but we couldn't fit 150 kilowatt. You'd have one car here all night. So the work
there was a councillor who wanted to do that.
No, it's the advancements in those cars and their charging requirements have been very, very rapid.
And then hang on, because the member of the public's got 2 questions.
Well, they're made in China, the panels.
That's all I know.
Can I just,
you're saved.
Can I just say that all the control equipment which goes with them is all British made?
Yeah, no, you've answered my question, that's all.
Plug to 3p.
Can I just say about the fire? It would be the same, I suppose, if you had one fitted in your house.
Yep.
Would that be a danger as well?
Yep.
Well,
if you had
you can't put it out if it goes up.
No, I'm just saying that the fire chiefs are the top people in the country. They've written to the government, this government, about it. So it's obviously
we're in danger of of solving the world energy crisis and electric cars, and probably not for this council.
Can I just make one point? And it's true of lots of things. The Brightsea is going to be limited anyway, the amount of houses you put in, because of the local infrastructure.
Yeah.
Brightsea is really struggling for water.
Yeah.
There's not enough water in Brightsea, according to, or there's enough now, but there wouldn't be enough for a large housing estate. And the same holds up with drains and sewerage, but also with the electricity. And the capacity to actually shove in a lot of it around here is quite limited.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news.
Okay.
Well, that's the excuse we're going to use.
Just adding to that.
No, well, actually, I'm sorry, we've got a bit of a queue now.
Just an example, that would cost £900,000 to do New Street.
Yes, I'm sure you're right. We have a question from David of Brighton Team.
Yeah, I'm going to lower the tone slightly, John. Who's responsible for the groins along the prom? The groins along the prom.
Along the prom, as tendering.
Why are they in such a dreadful state?
I think they were allowed. I know a little bit about this because a barge owner volunteered to replace all those groins with old oak barge boards, and he asked me who he should approach. At that time, I gave him the name of an officer in tendering who was in charge of all that, and it never happened. So
it's just intriguing. It seems to be another example of enormous amounts of expenditure going to Clacton and everywhere else, and yet,
yes, that might.
I mean, for instance, the sailing club ramp now is continually being covered in sand because there's a gap about 2 groins up, and the tide is washing stuff up. So, and that's only happened in the last 3 or 4 years. And the ones around Bateman's Tower are just falling to bits and presumably pretty useless. I mean, from the tourism point of view, it looks bad, but they're also not doing the job that they were intended to do.
It's a very good point you raised, David, and perhaps I could sit down with Councillor Barry afterwards.
Take that away.
I would take it away.
Give me a reply.
We can come
I suppose also, I mean, it comes off the back of that. There's bound to be a bun fight for cash with the devolution situation. Would it not now be a good time to start formulating some plans, even if it's Clatterwood land, to say we want this money spent? At least you've done it, and you said it's there.
That's exactly what that task force are doing right now.
Yeah.
Is that they're looking at the assets
Good.
and they're asking various councillors what they feel should be, and they're looking at the mechanics of it.
Sort out the groins.
Yeah. Sort out the groins. That could be a bucket.
Well, you see, if we were still in the EU, you'd get some EU money for that.
Well,
I'm
on side with you there.
Sorry.
Yeah, just to say, we had a heavy fight. And to say, because I did react to somebody from the Sailing Club who has come back beginning of last year, so they were repaired. Unfortunately, being tidal, waves, etc., etc., we will be taken up. We have within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we can have a walk round, and then we will point that.
But obviously, what was there before had lasted decades.
Yeah.
And a repair had obviously lasted a couple of years, so it obviously wasn't much of a repair.
No, but the ones which have disappeared might not be the ones which were repaired.
Fair point. In which case, they're all in need of repair, aren't they? Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just make a point about the allocation of money. It's not a question of tendering council having millions of pounds and giving it all to Clacton. The allocation of money to Clacton and Jaywick and Harwich comes from central government, and tendering has,
No, I'm not talking
has
about
no,
that.
say in that.
That's a separate subject.
Well,
because
you're joining the two together and making
I know about the money and the allocation, but there is other money outside of those
seafront
special
management
allocations.
costs, as you know, are astronomical.
They are.
You know, just looking at that picture of Bateman's, you know, it's lucky we've got a tower down there looking at that. But I think we do, you know, we are conscious, as we say, local government reform is an opportunity, hopefully, to put in bids for funding for some of these major projects, and hopefully we will get some return on them. But it's,
You'll be the second person to know.
That'd be good.
If you actually research that, it actually, and I'm not sure how accurate that is, but it says that the groins are actually an environmental agency.
Oh, well, there we are.
You know, I didn't want to say that because I didn't know that.
Well, I've just looked up because the environmental agencies are responsible for the sea
defences
and sea defences.
It's a big subject, that, especially with the circulatory effect that we get in the harbour, and that's how the sand goes over there as well. It's a very boring subject.
Just making our bit of the Sunshine Coast look a little bit shinier, basically.
Did I see Malcolm put his hand up?
Yeah, let's go back to
you triggered him.
Nick Fred, the seawall by the beach hutch is not the official seawall. The official seawall for Environmental Agency is the old railway line.
That's the flood protection wall.
Yeah.
Good point.
Just a minute. The most important one, with all this 106 money you've got in your back pocket,
or even in our wheelbarrow.
Will you, and I've spoken to Councillor Steady about this, put a cycle track around the recreation ground for little people to learn to ride their bikes safely. Rather than giving it to the cricket club, but they don't have the toilets.
I'm going to ask Councillor Morton to give you a little bit of insight, because the FCA committee are currently looking at all sorts of things like that. Am I right?
That's right, and we will bring it up to the FCA.
Yeah, because I've spoken to the groundsman and said that he's agreeable for that. There's no safe place for little people to learn to ride.
Maybe they need a public speaker for drawings. Okay. Any other questions from the members of the public? Well, oh yes.
Oh, sorry. It's just, I'd just like to say thank you for renewing the cycle signs around the prom.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, could we have one slightly higher up?
Yeah.
Because cyclists are still ignoring it. And
they're
still riding around there on the and they're not kids.
No.
These are lycra men. not kids.
Sue.
Should know better.
Lycra persons.
We will take that observation to the authorities.
Thank you.
We'll take that observation to the councillor who has the responsibility for
lycra.
I think the term is manuals, isn't it?
Middle-aged men.
Middle-aged men in lycra, yeah.
Lovely. Okay. All right. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you, members of the public, and again, thank you for coming to turn out. So, our next item on our agenda is agenda item 14, which is in the capable hands of our town clerk.
Thank you very much. 4 items needing permission. First one is the Food and Drink Festival. We'd like to hold its 25 event on the Western Promenade, 21st to 26th of August, with event opening dates of the 22nd, 5 p.m. to 11, 23rd, 11 a.m. till 7, and 24th, 11 until 5. It's all as in previous years, with the car boot being accommodated on the bank holiday Monday.
All okay with that?
Could we just make a special note on that one? We've already done it in the contract about removal of waste, but I seem to remember that one is a particular...
That one, I think they have skips and things.
Yeah, just a reminder.
Yeah, of course. Burst Stocks Fun Fair, we'd like to hold its 25 event on the Western Promenade, 7th to the 13th of August.
Okay with that?
Yeah. Fourth Brightness Scout Group would like to hold the Classic Car Show and Fun Day on Lower Park Playing Fields on Sunday the 7th of September, and I'd also like to ask if tendering could be contacted about parking on the Western Promenade with the usual arrangements, so that it's free on the visitors. Thank you. And the last one is Children's World Fun Park. We'd like to visit Hurst Green, with set-up days being the 22nd to the 25th of April, and operating days being the 26th and 27th of April, and the operating hours will be 12 noon until 7 o'clock, both days.
Happy? Yeah. We are happy with all of
Thank you
this.
very much.
Right, okay.
No, just mention one thing. Sorry, Mother on Church Road, no offences to you. I'm sure that's entirely correct, because I know I've been there, and there have been reports of chunks and somebody's car being hit.
Okay, I'll check into it.
Can I just ask on that? You may have noted that we declined to support the planning application for the renewal of the aggregate being removed by the entire season, of course. And that was sent back to Essex County Council. Did we get any sort of...
No, they came back with some questions which you helped me answer, and I've had nothing since.
Nothing since.
No.
Okay. Members of the public, it's my sad duty to chuck you out of the car. We try not to do it too often. Thank you for coming. What do you like
Yes, yeah.
No, I was going to say, I think